peeps, we are back. We're talking the Real Housewives of Orange County, season 17, episode 18, which was part 2 of the reunion. Hey, before we get into the video, please do me the honors of subscribing to my channel, hitting the notification bell so you can always be notified when I post new content, hitting the thumbs up because that does wonders for my channel, and share. Thanks. All right now, peeps, I am back from vacation and I am watching these shows slowly but surely. I am getting through them. All right, so this reunion starts out with Shannon apologizing to Gina for calling CPS. But then, of course, she's got a but. But she didn't mean anything by it. But no, ma'am. Apologies that have a but is not a real apology. You should have started off like that from the jump. No matter how you meant it, it's how it came out. It's how she felt. You should have just apologized. You should not bring up Gina's DUI and how you gave her the phone number for an attorney ever again, especially in your current situation. Leave this woman and her children the hell alone. While Gina was very emotional and upset by this, I appreciate the way Heather was there supporting Gina, the way a real friend would. You know, throughout the season, multiple times, we heard Gina talk about how she is such a good friend to Heather. I beg to differ. You were good to Heather when you were in Montana, but otherwise, you were not a good friend to Heather. So they do the little montage with John Jansen, and Shannon is still wanting to blame Heather. Even with Andy calling it out, Heather did not bring these onto the show. She did not start talking bad about you and John's relationship. Why do you insist on continuing to blame Heather for this? Shannon even said it herself. Heather did not bring anything on camera.
The only person that I discussed my relationship was you.
That's not true.
But they've all said that you've discussed your relationship with all of them.
I had a long conversation with you about your relationship.
Was there something that Heather said on camera about your relationship?
She did it all off camera.
She never repeated anything on camera.
You told people off camera, Shannon and John's relationship, it's not good. He would ghost me, and I wouldn't speak to him for days, and it would be paralyzing. And he said, I'm ready to take the next step with you.
It's an exciting time for us to take our relationship even deeper. I think there's more.
But if he wanted to take the next step with you, why was he breaking up with you?
Because he was saying what he wanted to say on camera.
He was trying to get through filming so that he didn't look bad.
He
and he also
said that
handcuffed
on camera?
her.
He said it on camera, and a week later, he broke up with me.
Oh, it's horrible.
Do you really believe that I was this Machiavellian, behind the scenes?
I do, Heather.
Please don't get angry with me. You tend to drink and call some of us.
You know what,
We're
Heather?
just the aftershocks. That's the epicenter.
That's a up thing to say to me.
It's
but okay.
not. You're the town crier.
Do I go out and drink sometimes? For you to say I need rehab, for you to say, like, paint a picture so that I'm calling people every single night. For you to say that I can breathalyze and
you should.
you say
I think it's a good invention. You need to put it
say,
on the
you
phone.
say an
You don't want to
intimate
look at that. You don't want to
conversation?
look at that at all, though, Shannon.
Listen, the bottom line is this. Shannon has only herself to blame. She only has herself to blame. I think that it's clear amongst all of the cast and Andy that Shannon drinks way too much, and then she calls these girls and forgets everything that she has done and said. None of them would know anything about John Jansen had you not opened up your drunk mouth and called them. I agree with Gina when she called it out. Don't you want to sit there and think about it and reflect a little? With everything that has happened, including before and after her DUI, you would think that Shannon would realize, one, John Jansen is just not that into you. He has never been that into you. And the relationship is not good for you. It is not healthy for you. And the fact that throughout this season and throughout the reunion, she mentioned that she has never loved anybody as much as she loves John Jansen. You protest too damn much. You should stop loving John Jansen as much as you love John Jansen, because he doesn't love you anywhere near that. And the fact that his children don't like you, when you got your DUI, you had just came from his house, and he wasn't smart enough or kind enough to say, Shannon, I think you've had too much to drink. Maybe you should Uber home, or maybe you should stay the night. You've had a little too much to drink. That to me is caring. You care about somebody when you call them on their bullshit. And that, you know, Shannon and John is not right. And she sat there on that couch crying a river of tears like a 17-year-old child. But I love him so much. Shannon, let go of this. Let go of it. John Jansen is not for you. And one thing is for sure, people can admit that Heather may have said some things about Shannon and John's relationship off camera. But that's the point. She didn't bring it on camera. And then Gina and Emily made a very valid point. They are on a reality show. That is their job. This is what they get paid for. They are paid to share the business that you shared with them. So if you know that John Jansen is going to have an attitude and be so upset about you bringing your relationship business onto the show, then why tell them? The things that you don't want brought on the show, zip it, zip it. Don't share it. The only problem is you don't know how to zip it because you're drinking so heavy. The best thing for Shannon is to continue her rehab. It seems, I've seen through social media that she is continuing to do her show with the Tres Amigas. They have cut down on the drinking. Shannon is not drinking at all, but she is seeking outpatient rehab or outpatient therapy. That's what I'm hearing. I don't know what's really going on, but she needs to continue to concentrate on Shannon and her well-being and her health, and a lot less about John Jansen. And then when they showed that unseen footage of John Jansen telling her he was ready to go to the next level, no, he wasn't. He was never going to go to the next level with her. And then for her to say, well, you know, he broke up with her a week after the filming. The rest of the girls, including Andy, said he was only saying that because he was trying to look good and because he was on this show. That man was never going to move further in this relationship. He was not interested in Shannon in that way, and you could tell. And I did feel a little sympathy for her when she broke down crying, saying that after she watched the show back, she could definitely see that he had checked out. Shannon, the truth is, if you would have watched the last couple of seasons with John Jansen, you could see that he never checked in. He never was fully in it. And then she said that, you know, they've got this friends with benefits thing going on. Listen, girl, please. You can get the sex from anybody else. You don't have to get it from John Jansen. Please let him go because he's not helping you or doing you any favor, Shannon. You know, maybe right then on the reunion, if she would have taken some time right after the reunion to reflect on the last few years since her and David got divorced and on how much drinking she's doing, on how often she is drunk, she may not have ended up having that DUI. It's time to take back your life. And then her trying to act as if she's the best housewife around because she was vulnerable and lifted up her shirt on the show. Shannon, listen, hug. Listen, hug. I appreciate you, Shannon Storms Bedore. And, you know, up until this season, I was absolutely team Shannon Storms Bedore. But, ma'am, you are not the best housewife. You are not the number one housewife. Most housewives, not all of them, but most housewives have shown us some pretty vulnerable moments and have shared some of their most private business on the show. You don't win any prizes here. Not to mention every last one of you gets a check and every last one of you has decided to be on the show. I'm just saying, you know, leave us alone with that. And instead of her trying to take some responsibility and just apologizing to Heather and apologizing to Gina for the bad treatment and not adding any extra buts, she can't do that. She can't do that. Instead, she tries to deflect, in my opinion, by bringing on the waterworks. You know, just say, I'm sorry. The best question of the night for me was when the question came in that said, Shannon, you have spent a lot of time this season blaming Heather for the rumors and for the conversations about John Jansen, but you haven't said one thing about Tamara. And Tamara is the one who is smiling in your face pretty much, and I'm paraphrasing that part, and bringing all of this stuff. And Tamara absolutely had the nerve to look her in the face and say, I never talked about John Jansen. What in Sam Hill? Thank goodness for the editors throwing out the montage of Tamara talking crap about Shannon and John. Then they talked about John calling Shannon fat. And she tried to say that that was a lie. She never said that. And Emily shot back and said, oh no, you told me that he calls you fat. Heather says the same thing. No, you told me that he called you fat. Shannon is drunk so much she doesn't realize it. Either that or she's just caping for John Jansen, which I don't know why. I would never cape for anybody who called me fat. I would never cape for anybody who was just not that into me. And, you know, Shannon, get rid of John Jansen. You can find somebody else. Then we find out that Tamara and Emily have become better friends off camera, and Shannon is not here for it. Shannon never likes it when one of her friends becomes friends with somebody else. It's almost as if they are in middle school and you can only have one friend. You've got to choose. Either you're my friend or hers. I remember acting like that in the 4th grade. My friend Melanie had a new friend and I did not want her to be friends with that girl. But I was in the 4th grade. I mean, come on. Anyway, it turns out that Tamara allegedly wanted to invite all the cast to their show with her, Vicky, and Shannon. And Shannon didn't want to invite people because she didn't want Emily to be there. And Tamara, good friend Tamara, throws Shannon under the bus. She said, why didn't you just tell Emily that you didn't want her to come because you don't like her? Shannon gets all upset. I said, listen, this is the same woman that you think is your best friend. I tell you what, my best friend wouldn't throw me under the bus like that. She really wouldn't. But also at the same time, if I didn't want Emily to come there because I don't like her, I would just say, I don't want you to come because I don't like you. You know, I think that's rude, but I would have just came out and said it. I'm just saying, dang on it. These women just act so childish. So Emily did try to get, you know, smart-mouthed with Heather. My thing is this. Emily had a little second. You know, they had a little Emily montage. For what reason, I don't know. This woman is so annoying and boring at the same time. But anyway, you know, she tries to act like, oh my goodness, this is my package, my segment, but everybody else wants to talk. Girl, please. Didn't we see you in part 1 and part 2 talking way too much? You were over talking and jumping into other people's package. So now that you got a little tiny minute, everybody's supposed to be respectful. Shut the hell up over there, girl. Anyway, she tries to throw Heather under the bus by saying that Heather called Tamara an ass. Heather said, I did call her an ass. She is an ass. Even though I like her, you know, from time to time, she's still an ass. And that is so true. We all know that. The biggest ass on the Housewives of OC is Tamara. I mean, come on, get off of it, Emily. To me, Emily yet again showed that she is jealous and very insecure around Heather. And that sounds like an Emily problem. Emily, get you some therapy. You have a problem with your mother, your sister, your relationship, your husband. Get you some therapy, honey. Stop trying to take it out on Heather. Heather is over here living her best life. She says that she may have sold her other house, but she is currently building an even bigger, better house. She's living her best life. Now you are over here looking beautiful and bitter. Get the hell on some damn where. Leave Heather alone. I'm just saying. And Tamara tried to throw Heather under the bus saying that she wanted Emily fired. Heather called her out and said, no ma'am, no ma'am, no ma'am. She said, you sent me all those text messages talking mad shit about Emily. And then you got on Watch What Happens Live and tried to act like it was some sort of love affair between her and Emily. And Andy jumped in and he said, you know, you talk crap about all these girls at some point. And that is true. When Tamara was fired, she talked so bad about every last one of those women. I tell you what, how do you think this season would have went if Kelly Dodd was on here? Do you think that Tamara would have came back and came for Kelly? I don't think so. That would be an interesting mix next season, even though I really don't like Kelly Dodd. Not even a tiny bit. I don't like that woman. Anyway, moving on. Andy did ask, you know, Shannon about her bony vagina. And, you know, she said that she just needs a lot of cushion. So when she, you know, explains the situation, I would just like to say that I think I have a bony vagina. Because, I like a little padding on my seat cushions too. I've taken quite a few of those cycling classes. And honey, let me tell you, my butt and everything hurt bad at the end of that. I said, daggone it, these seats really could use some cushion. So I'm thinking, yeah, I got a bony vagina. Anyway, I thought it was really disgusting how Tamara and Emily wanted to touch Shannon's bony vagina. And I said, these women like to do a lot of touching in public. You know what I mean? And do your touching somewhere else. We don't need to see it. Anyway, I also figured out the reason why, in my opinion, in my mind, the reason why Tamara came so hard for Heather is because whenever Heather is asked, who is a housewife that the OC should bring back, she has always said Alexis. And Tamara doesn't like that because when she wasn't on the show, she wanted Heather to support her coming back to the show. And when Heather was saying Alexis, Tamara got upset by it. I think that's why she came after Heather so hard. How dare you not say me? That's just my opinion. But I'm sick of them. And I'm sick of all the childish behavior between Emily and Tamara. That they were just on the couch of ridiculous. They were on the couch of bullshit. Emily, Shannon, and Tamara. That couch over there is straight bullshit. They just couldn't pull it together. They really went hard this season to really take Heather down, and it just didn't work. Now, the way Tamara talked to Andy,
you had said terrible things about everyone that was still on the show when you weren't on the show, too.
We're not talking about that, so
okay, but I mean, it's a double standard.
Okay, no. Why are you trying to throw a wrench in it?
Well, because I'm just pointing out that you were calling them losers,
right,
too.
and because she said it, it's like, okay.
No.
Okay, then be quiet.
Listen, honey, she was just pissed off that Andy called her out. Andy called her out on her bullshit, and she didn't like it. My thing is this, where do you get to talk to your boss that way? Where do you get to tell the guy who brought you back after firing you to F off and to be quiet? I don't know, but I'm hoping that her and her pink dress gets a pink slip. I'm sick of her. Anyway, moving on. By the end of this, Tamara is telling Heather how much she loves her, how much she wants to be friends with her, how much she misses her. All of this is a bunch of fake shit in my opinion. Girl, if you don't shut the hell up with that, we have heard that entire speech before. She has given that entire speech to Jen, to Emily, to Heather, to Shannon. We are always hearing the bullshit. I'm sorry. I really want us to be friends. I'm sorry. Girl, get the hell on somewhere with that. Listen, in the end, I'm so happy that this season is over. But I can say this. Shannon and Emily and Tamara had all this smoke for Heather for no reason. I have never been a huge 1000% team Heather until this season. This season really shined a light on who Heather is and what Heather is going for. And these ladies really put out a huge effort to tear her down, and it just didn't work. All the ladies on that couch over there, Tamara, Shannon, and Emily, were just loud and wrong. Just loud and wrong. Emily was so loud and wrong, and her behavior was so ridiculous. The whole way she tried to yell at Heather about her behavior, talking about, in your opinion, you thought that I was being, an ass at your party. That was everybody's opinion, Emily. You were acting like a toddler at this woman's business event. You are a grown woman acting like a toddler, sitting over on that couch screaming your head off. As a matter of fact, I was surprised that she didn't just throw herself to the ground and start kicking her arms and legs. I appreciate Heather telling her straight to her face. In her opinion, you were an absolute jerk at her event. Heather and Shannon's friendship keeps getting jacked up. Heather tries to throw out another olive branch, even though she knows that Shannon's never going to apologize to her. And Shannon makes some kind of comment that their friendship seems to always go wrong. The reason your friendship goes wrong is because you always listen to other people. And because you're always believing Tamara. Tamara throws you under the bus in your face, and you just sit there and eat it up. But Heather does not talk about your relationship on camera, and she's the villain. I'm sick of them. Thank God this season is over. However, I will say this particular season was a lot better than last season, and a lot better than the season before that. That's all I'm saying. Anyway, peeps, get down in the comments and let me know what you think. And until next time, bye.